Hey, stop! Stop! This is our home, too!
We must have the right to defend ourselves against foreign aggressors, and by whatever means necessary.
If we didn't know it before, we know it now. The Hellgast mean to destroy us. We have nothing but a wall to separate us from this evil. It is only a matter of time. They will attack again.
I'll be honest with you, Jason, this one's a little bit late.
Hey, who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl in 2013?
Oh, yeah. Because I played Killzone Shadowfall like the week that the PS4 came out.
Yeah.
And then we got so backed up that we kind of put the reviews on the wayside.
3 months late? 2 months late? What is it?
2.5
2 and a
months,
half.
maybe 3, depending on what date this comes out.
Oh, shame.
So, Killzone Shadowfall, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Jason, before we start, how do you feel about Killzone as a franchise?
Don't care.
Don't care?
Yeah, it's fine. I don't really have any opinion about it one way or the other. I never really played any of them, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
You know, because I owned a PS2,
So is it 1,
PS3.
2, 3? The first, okay, so the first one was on the PS2. I think 2 and 3 on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
There was one on the PSP that was pretty cool.
I never really played any of them except on, the Dojo.
Mercenary on the Vita.
Yeah.
And then this one. So
I have no opinion.
the thing is that,
Aside from, as I've said before, I'm
Yeah.
very good at forming opinions with little to no information whatsoever.
okay.
I'm good at that.
All right.
At coming up with a completely uninformed opinion.
You're also really good at not caring when people are like, you don't know shit.
Also that. I'm good at that, too. I will say that my opinion of Killzone,
Yeah.
not having played it, I don't know, looks fucking generic.
Well, that's kind of my opinion about it, too, and I've played every single Killzone game that's ever come out.
Hey, see? I'm right.
Like I every time it comes up, I keep thinking like saying to Sony, like, Sony, quit trying to make Killzone a thing. Killzone's not going to be a thing.
It's like, I know you want Banjo-Kazooie to be a franchise, but it's just not.
Oh God, I'm not even touching that with 10 pump. You're on your own over there, pal. But you know what? Recently, the PSP game or the Vita game and this one on the PlayStation 4, these two are probably the best Killzone games that I've played ever. Because the first 3 Killzone games had this problem where the first one was on Vecta, and it was the Hellgast are invading, and there's a war, so you're doing the war-torn Vecta thing.
Yeah.
The second one was on Helgen, and later on in that war, you go to Helgen, and you're fighting it, so it was a war-torn Helga.
Bunch of words.
Helgen.
I don't know what they mean.
And then the third one took place there as well, I believe, and then you shot a bunch of stuff, and then everything was kablooey and blah, 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 blah. This game...
That's the wiki entry.
Yeah.
Verbatim.
Killzone Shadowfall is actually pretty smart because it actually takes place after that war has been done. So the war is over. The Helgens, they lost. But you have this city, and I believe it's on Vecta. It's been a while since I played this, where you've essentially got like a new kind of like class struggle. It's kind of like East and West Berlin, right?
Okay.
There's a wall, and the Helgens are all on one side, and then you've got
Yeah.
the Vectans all on the other side. So if you don't know, the Helgens are the space Nazi, white face, big armor guys, and the Vectans are the ones who just look like all of us. So you start this game as a soldier who is like, you start to get, you remember the very beginning of this where you're a kid, right? You're trying to get away, and there's a special ops guy that helps you and your dad get away during the Helgen invasion.
I remember that.
Right. And your dad gets, this is the first 10 minutes of the game, people.
Yeah.
Dad gets iced, you go over, and then it kind of flashes forward, and it shows that your character goes through this special ops training to become a black ops kind of operator for the local government. But what's nice about this whole setting is that it doesn't require you to have known, to be intimately familiar with the backstory of Killzone. There's a wall. On one side you got these space Nazi monsters, and on the other side you've got regular people, right?
Yes.
So there's like a plot a brewing with these guys who are messing around, and they're trying to. There's a virus. There's a terrorist attacks on the Vecta side, and you're trying to find these guys and bring them to justice. The dude who saved you at the beginning is like your handler. The story is difficult because in some ways it's kind of stupid, but in some ways it's kind of action movie stupid, where it's good because it gives you a reason to be shooting people.
Yeah.
The people's motivations are not especially deep, but they're cliche enough that you're able to understand them.
Sure.
Because this isn't a movie, it's a video game. So you don't need long, heartfelt speeches out of people about the way things are going.
I have problems with your last statement, but I understand where you're coming from.
Well, for the most part, at least there's no Rico. I guess you don't understand what I'm saying. Rico in Killzone, that dude is an asshole. He's such a fucking asshole. And there's not really very many people like that here. So, okay, at its core, Killzone is a first-person shooter, but speaking of Rico, it's trying real hard to think outside of the box. That's Ringo, not Rico. I'm sorry. I was trying to make a Pulp Fiction joke. It didn't work. I'm trying real hard, Rico. So as you saw when we were playing it, you've got a couple of interesting things at your disposal. You've got the owl, which is probably the biggest thing in this game, where you've got a little drone that follows you that you can have basically do different things. You can have it put up a shield. You can have it attack people. You can make it into a little zip line to go down where you want to. It adds something to your standard military first-person shooter thing.
I love zip lines.
Zip lines? Dude, if you like zip lines, this game is completely for you.
I like zip lines. I want to do one in real life. Not allowed to.
Not allowed to do the zip line?
No.
Is it because of MRSA?
Probably MRSA.
Probably MRSA.
MRSA.
Okay.
Impact, falling.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
It seems like one of the more low-impact things that you could do.
You would think.
Anyway, in addition to that, you also have this gun that's pretty shitty that transforms from a machine gun into a sniper rifle and then back again. But it's got kind of limited ammo, and so I always ended up just using the enemy's guns because they're laying all over the place, and they've got a million ammos for them. In this game, though, it's interesting because there's these things that set it apart from a traditional first-person shooter, things I just listed off. And then when you first start out the game, we were in that very first area where it was kind of open world, right? Where you had you could take out this outpost, you could go get these guys, you could do this thing.
Yeah.
But there were sub-objectives that you could do. A lot of that falls away after that first mission. That first mission is really one of the only places, there's a few, but it's one of the few places where you've got a lot of these sub-objectives. In the second mission, when we got into the spaceship, right, you're kind of on one route.
Yeah.
And there's sometimes back routes.
By the last level, it's a rails shooter.
Yeah, it's just Rogue. It's Rogue Squadron. It's Rebel Assault. But they do try to keep different ways to get forward. There's a stealth mechanic that's okay, but it's hard not to get spotted. And once you get spotted, it's on. There's no real way to undo that. There are some stunning, just straight up stunning environments in this game. And this game actually really shows off, regardless of whether you're into the gameplay or not, it really does show off what the PS4 is capable of between the particle effects and the lighting effects and smoke and tracers. You've got buildings that are full of, that fall down that have a lot of debris and stuff like that in them. You get flown over the city and you can see all these buildings and stuff like that are going on. It's a very pretty game, and it goes a lot of different places. There's a couple of different space missions in the game. There's some stuff in the Helgen side of the border where you're trying to infiltrate. There's stuff on the pretty side and the Vecton side. So it really does do a good job of showing off just what the system can do. They do kind of put you up in the faces of people a lot of times. So you can see all the little work that they've done on faces. And it does a lot of stuff.
Your pores are really big.
That's right. It does some cool stuff with the PlayStation 4. It's got you'll pick up an audio log, and the audio log plays out of the controller speaker instead of the TV.
Oh, neat.
Which is pretty nice. It leaves the speaker on the TV free for explosions, and you can just hold that up, listen to it. I did have a really hard time getting used to using the touchpad to switch between the different owl functions at first, but by the end of the game, that kind of became second nature. The only place where this game kind of falls down is that it's still kind of blurg as a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
It's not especially up there in the...
Is it the design, or...
It's it doesn't... It's they've got it turned up to 7, and they need to jack that shit up to 11,
Sure.
Right? So, the combat is never as frenetic as, say, Call of Duty, right?
Sure.
It's not as snappy as Call of Duty. But it's also not as tactical as Arma or Rainbow Six or something like that. It has a cover mechanic, but since it's a first-person cover mechanic, you don't end up using it a lot. So it's kind of stuck in this place where I feel like, you know what I feel like? I feel like this game was Guerrilla Games finally starting to kind of go out on a limb with the Killzone series, with the Owl stuff.
But not having the balls to commit.
Yeah, they need to go all the way out on a limb.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if this had been like a third-person cover-based shooter, it might have worked way better. Instead of being a first-person shooter, it might have been a better game. If it had been a little bit snappier, it might have been a better game. It's not a bad game at all. It's just that it seems to be missing the spice.
Right.
You know, it needs the Emerald bam it up type of thing. So the game itself is about 8 to 10 hours long. I won't lie to you, there are a few parts of this game. There's one part where you're in space that really just kind of sucks balls. The motivations of some of the characters are kind of unpleasant. There's a part at the end that there's a little twistiness there that okay, I kind of enjoyed it, but I know that I've seen online a lot of people who are just like, eye roll, this was stupid.
Right.
I enjoyed it. I thought that it was decent for the story that they were telling, and I think that it opens it up. What I like most about this game is the fact that most of the previous Killzone games had you you were very much playing as a Vectin soldier. You guys are the good guys. Look at these guys. They're a bunch of fucking orange-eyed demon space Nazi dudes. Here, they blurred the lines a little bit where, you know, there's some terrorist attacks.
Maybe the Nazis had some good points.
Well, they're not actually space Nazis. But, like, you know, you go from one side of the wall to the other, and you see it on this one side, everything is, like, idyllic, and you've got these space Nazi guys, and they're attacking you, and they're like, oh, they're a bunch of evil guys. And then you go over to the other side of the wall, and you're like, oh, no, they're, like, starving to death, impoverished, like, being oppressed by the people that you ostensibly work for.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
Why do you keep trying to derail me, Jason?
You keep saying Nazis, and I just keep thinking persecution
They're
of the
not.
Jews.
They're space Nazis. They're not regular Nazis.
Oh, so they're persecuting space Jews.
They're
That's
not.
different.
There are no space Jews in this game, I'm afraid. The few
From Europa.
Europa. You were bad, sir. You were a bad human being. There was a few things that I felt like were missing from the game that might have been, like, Mercenary had this thing where you could outfit different special powers into, like, your equipment. You couldn't really do that. Like, the Owl was never upgradable. You never really upgraded anything. Like, I felt like it needed an upgrade mechanic. Like, you could get more stuff for your Owl, or twink it out in a different way, or put, like, make your gun transforms, right?
That's kind of expected, right?
Right. There really wasn't I don't recall there being any of that in the game, and it was kind of a bummer because it seemed like a no-brainer when you're making a game like this that you would have a progression and be able to kind of customize your special ops guy a little bit to match your play style. From there, I also played a bit of the multiplayer, and the multiplayer in this was actually really enjoyable.
Nice.
It's because you get to kit out, you have your standard class-based, like, kind of Call of Duty style thing, but everybody has an owl, and you can put a couple of different functions on that owl that can change that can change the way you play the game. Like, one of the abilities that I liked was you can bring in the strike ship that'll come down and just start shooting at people.
Yeah.
Or you can throw up a wall, or you can do stuff. So it actually made it a very dynamic experience because you could customize the way that you were loaded out and then help your team out in that fashion. So that actually made the multiplayer in this one probably my favorite of the multiplayer from any of the Killzones. The Mercenary one was pretty good, but this one I felt was better. So all in all, you know, as a launch title, I felt like it was fine. Like, I feel like someday we may look back on it and go, that was a really shitty game.
Right.
It's not the best, but
it seems like a really mediocre game.
It's kind of middle of the road. It's an enjoyable experience while it lasts. When it gets done, you do have the multiplayer to extend the time. Like, if you bought a PlayStation 4, I could see this being a perfectly viable first game launch day choice if you're into first-person shooters.
From the other two games.
Well, as opposed to Knack, apparently.
Yeah. This is a great game compared to Knack.
You got to compare everything to Knack. So... yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I'm gonna give it 3.5.
Okay,
3.5.
It's good. It's good. It's positive.
You know, it's not broken. It's not fucked up. I didn't have serious problems with any of it. It can be a little frustrating at times when you're trying to do something a certain way, but you know, most of the time, as a game, it was perfectly functional. And like I said, it really did blow me away with how it looked. It was really, really pretty. I've never seen space Nazis look that good before.
Space Nazi sympathizer.
Your beliefs have failed you. They have led you into the wilderness, alone, without faith.
This is Vector. This is our home. And it always will be. I want you to remember that.